Y'all good? I need a little more excitement than that. Come on, y'all. How are y'all feeling today? Are y'all good? Yeah, look, thank you so much for coming out. I know it's cold outside, so appreciate everybody coming here. Now, welcome to the Making Industry Waves panel. We got some special guests in the building walking up to the chairs. Go ahead and clap it up for me one time. Clap it up, clap it up.
I need the blue one and the green one back. They're both in M interference.
Okay.
I'll bring them right back.
Shay, you can go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, come on.
He told me to stand there.
Oh, no, you're good, you're good, you're good.
He was like, oh, I got the only mic that works.
If you don't know who I am, my name is Brittney Elena. I will be your host and moderator today. Got my guest assistant right here, Diva. And I'm here today with Myles Garrett, Courtney Mays, and Che Pope. Once again, let's go ahead and give them a round of applause one more time. So as you know, Cleveland's own Myles Garrett is Pro Bowler and first-time All-Pro defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Courtney Mays is the queen of the NBA tunnel, working as a stylist for the NBA players like Kevin Love and Chris Paul. Clap it up for her. Doing her thing. And Che Pope is the founder of Workshop and a Grammy-winning hip-hop legend who's worked with artists like Kanye West, A$AP Rocky, and The Weeknd, plus more. Clap it up for them. So whether it's professional sports, fashion, or music, they've all made waves in their respective fields. For today's discussion, we'll talk about their professional journeys and how they're disrupting the culture. So first and foremost, how are you guys feeling today to be on the stage?
I feel wonderful.
You feel wonderful?
It's always weird for me to be on this side of the camera, so I'm a little jittery.
How about you, Shay?
I feel good. Out in Cleveland, it's cold, but it's warmer in here. You know what I mean? So I'm good.
Myles?
Just blessed to make an appearance. Happy to be here.
After dunking on everybody yesterday, we happy to have you.
Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, y'all got the win. I just got the highlights.
We did get the win. You know, we did get the win. All right, so this question is for everybody. Fashion, sports, music, all overlap as some of the biggest cultural touch points in America. How do you personally experience that in your career? You can go first, Courtney.
So I dress athletes for a living, so I feel like those intersections are sort of my livelihood and my day-to-day. I think I'm fortunate enough to, and I'd like to think that I was sort of part of that movement of where fashion and sports collided, and I feel like that's something that I hope to grow and see bigger across all sports.
I mean, for me, that's been my journey in my career, right? You see the influence of hip-hop and the culture all around the world. And then, you know, working with Kanye, it goes to the next level of it, right? You see the Virgils, the Matthew Williams, and all their impact and everything they're doing, Don C, right? So it was literally fashion, sports, music, all intertwined and colliding, you know? So it's literally been my journey.
I mean, as far as fashion, I've always wanted to set myself apart, be able to express myself, and know my passions, my hobbies, show that through what I'm wearing and what I'm doing, and as well as expressing on the field. As far as music, I mean, I've always had a passion for music, beats, and the production quality of guys like Kanye and some of these other guys who put out great tracks. It's just trying to mix it all and express myself and find where I fit in.
Amazing. How did you first find the passion of what you do now, and how do you get to where you are now? This is for everybody.
It's interesting because I think I just now sort of discovered my passion for what I do. I found that using the platform that athletes have to talk about larger issues has sort of given me purpose in what I do. It's not just about putting you in the latest, the hottest, greatest, exclusive thing that came out, but really using fashion as a way to talk about larger issues. And I think that's really driven me to become more passionate about my business. Yeah.
An ability to express yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's not just about, having on the latest designers, although I follow fashion, I love the history of it. I study costume design, but I think it's really about using, what we have to make a difference and have an impact on our culture.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think my whole career led me to this point, to start this company, because I got to see the way that the music industry was still treating artists, years and years later.
Yeah.
That you still had things that were in contracts from the 50s and, people not owning in their art. So I think creating this company was a way for me to, bridge that gap. So that's what Workshop is about, really providing an infrastructure for artists to help them own in their art and create leverage. So that's, that was the journey of, being in this business for so long and the highs and lows and knowing so many artists and knowing them personally and intimately and what they went through, and what they're still going through,
And also open doors as well.
Yeah, exactly, because, you got to create opportunities for young people. You have to create them and you have to share the information. When I came up, it wasn't really the internet age. We won't get into my actual age, but there wasn't the internet. So, and everybody held on to the information like it was like, I got a secret, but I'm not going to share it. Yeah. This time, no, we're sharing the codes. We're sharing the codes. I want everybody to have the information so they can grow and pursue their passion.
Yep. You've been blessed, so you want to share your blessings.
Exactly.
There you go.
Honestly, I'm passionate about giving back to others. I think that's my main passion, my main goal in life. I'm passionate about sports, I'm passionate about football, but I've always, felt like I've had a big heart for other people and giving back to those who, are underprivileged and don't have as much as some of the other people that I've been blessed to be around. And so I have a platform to be able to give back, to be able to speak out for people who are underserved, and I want to be able to do more for them, do better for them, and give them the opportunities that they do deserve.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have a lot of people that are looking up to you, so that's amazing. For Che, you recently started a workshop to help emerging artists. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how it's been a natural progression in your career?
I think in this day and age, the music industry is a little different. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you would go to a record company to find your audience. Now they expect you to do that. So it makes it, in one hand, technology has made it more accessible. Someone could make a record in their bedroom, maybe it goes viral on TikTok. But on the other hand, it's actually made it more difficult because it's a numbers game. So it's not necessarily based on talent, it's based on popularity. So, there was a need for this company, someone to help bridge the gap and really help people and support people and provide resources where there are no resources. Because, a record company can just sit back and they can just wait till it pops. They have that luxury now. So what about all these kids that, all this talent, but they don't got the money or they're not TikTok savvy, So, and that's also one of the reasons we had to set it up in Detroit. We had to bring the music back to Motown.
Yep. Yes, sir. For Myles, throughout your career, what was the single most important piece of advice you received and who gave it to you?
Nobody's gonna want it more for you than you, and my dad told me that. It was, I was going through, a little bit of a bumpy road in high school, and not really knowing what I wanted to do. And I was, put in a position where I was playing a lot of sports, but I really just wanted to give my all to basketball. And I had to play football. That was kind of part of the program. And he was like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta give yourself all, to it. You gotta go all in. And I came out better for it, but just hearing him and my parents were all in the office with the AD, who was my head coach at the time, and he really just laid it out for me. If you really want to be great, be great in all you do, not just in some of the things. Give your all to everything that you're willing to give your time to, and I've done that since then.
Look where you are now, being great. For everybody, how is your career/life different from what you imagined it would be?
So I went to the University of Michigan, which I know that makes me a traitor, but to be a pediatrician. And my dad is here, and he's probably like, uh-oh. To be honest, I don't know. I think I'm raised by a generation of parents that they go to school, they get a job, they work for 30 years, they retire. And my generation, we're entrepreneurs, we're trying things, we're more creative. And so I think I never really knew exactly what it is I wanted to do, but I knew that it had to be something that I loved because I didn't want to be sitting behind a desk every day. And I didn't want to kind of run the hamster wheel. So it's different because every one of my days looks completely different. I'm on an airplane, or I'm in a client's home, or I'm in a fitting, or I'm on set, and so it's always a new adventure for me. But yeah, I guess I was supposed to be a pediatrician, and now I'm a wardrobe stylist. I don't know if that's disappointing or not, but I love it.
I was going to school to be a veterinarian, so I feel you, sis.
Right?
I feel you. What about you?
There was no instruction on how to be a music producer, so I had no idea what I really wanted to do. I loved music, but I had no, I would say this, at least my parents did give me the confidence to just go after and chase your dreams. So when I went on the path, then I was driven. So I think the one thing that I could say, I always knew I wanted more. You know what I mean? I knew, I'm from Boston originally, like, people, my boys, they don't go nowhere. They're probably right where I left them. Some of them, but for the most part, people stay. It's a neighborhood city. So I just knew I wanted more, and that led me to the journey of music,
Honestly, I wanted a lot when I was young. I still do. It's just about, trying to maintain, what I got going on with football and, these other passions that I have. I remember growing up, I wanted to be, it's high hopes for a young kid, but I wanted to be a peace ambassador. And then I wanted to write books about poetry, and I wanted to do, children's books. And I fell in love with, Dr. Seuss books, and I wanted to do something along that style. And,
You can still do that.
See, that's,
Exactly,
You can still do that.
yes.
But
You got to do that.
I'm trying to find time. I still dabble. I still write. I'm trying to get forward to publishing, but I end up spreading myself thin with all these ideas that I have and all that I want to do, as well as I love paleontology and digging up fossils, and I want to travel and do that around the world. So it's like trying to make time for all these things and not selling myself short with any of them.
Dope.
For everybody, did you have any low points on your journey, and how did you bounce back?
2019 November, had a low point, but it was just really about the bounce back, how I was going to respond after that, and what kind of man I was, and who was really in my corner, because it was a bad time for me personally, and I feel like I let my family down, my friends, but I just had to respond and show that the organization and my family, they not only put a lot of responsibility on me, but my family instilled a lot of positive qualities and traits in me. I had to show that those they've always won out, and that's the man I really am, and not just one moment.
I would say for me, there's always a story about my grandfather moving from Alabama to Boston with 49 cents. So anytime I feel down or gone through some stuff, I always can just think of that story. And I'm like, if he can make it, I definitely got to get up off, my ass and make it. So the music business is about highs and lows. And Quincy Jones told me one time, when you're up, don't get too up. When you're low, don't get too low. And you'll be fine. And I've always lived spent my career that way. And just really and also believing in myself, So even when you're down and you got other people talking and this and that, you just believe in yourself,
So I was thinking about this. So I feel like there's always people that are going to say, you can't do something, or you don't look a certain way. So, I'm a plus size girl and I work in the fashion world, so people always look at me sideways, but I try not to focus on things like that. I would say I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm HR, I'm the assistant, I get the coffee, I go to FedEx. So every day there's a low point. I mean, it's not glamorous. I get to dress really cool people, and I get to, you know, of course, is that me? I get, you know, there are some moments that are glamorous and they look cool, and we have the advantage of Instagram, so you see all of the end results. But what you don't see is the 10 duffel bags I came here for All-Star that have 7,000 options for Chris Paul to wear, or you don't see us trucking it all through the snow and, you know, my hair isn't done. Like, you don't see any of that. So I think every day there are low points, but we can't focus on those or dwell on those, because at the end of the day, we get our work done and we move on to the next thing.
God bless.
Yes, I love all those answers. For Shay.
And fresh to death, though. Just have to, to say that.
Super fresh. You've worked alongside some incredible artists. Are there bits of wisdom about their process of work or style that you can share besides of what advice you got from Quincy Jones?
Yeah, I'll go through a few people. Start with Dr. Dre. I'd never seen somebody with that level of attention to detail. By the time I met Dre, I already had a Grammy for Album of the Year, but it was like learning the music, how to make music all over again from scratch. I had never worked with somebody with literally that level of precision and attention to detail. I got to shout out my, the Gemini homie, Mr. West, who is a lot. He's a lot. I'm gonna start with that, but he will exhaust all resources to make something what he thinks the best it could be. Whether it's 25 people working on the same song, he will go through so many things to see that. So for me, I take these lessons and all these people I've worked with and how they worked, and I try to apply it. And like even in terms of how we work a workshop, I try to include all of this. Any lesson I've learned along the way from these people is a part of the process at workshop.
Okay. What about your career do you find most rewarding? This is a question for everybody.
I'll start. I have two things. The first thing is just when you created something from scratch, from nothing that didn't exist before, and you put it out into the world. And when you go to a concert or you hear it on the radio and you see people enjoying it, that's an amazing moment, an amazing feeling that's like no other. And then secondly, it's just kids. It's just when you can talk to kids and build with kids and hang out with kids. And because it's music, it's something like it's like you got something in common. Especially when you're when you can speak their language.
Like the Gen Z.
Yeah.
They feel like you in the crowd with them a little bit.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it for me.
So one for me would probably be, the atmosphere of the city, like when we win. I mean, it's like there's electricity in the air, like when you're walking around. I don't live in the city, but like when I come in, I'm always being approached by people, talking about, the game or what happened last week, going into next week. And, people always being positive, appreciating your work, what you do, you putting your body on the line, your performance, good, bad, or indifferent, they appreciate, all the time invested, and just always hoping for the future. The Dog Pound is undefeated. They're the best fans in the league, and I can't help but appreciate every moment that I've been here. And second would just be, winning with my team. The losses hurt, the wins are lovely, but being in there with those guys and all those time I put in, the time that they're not able to see, like off the field. We're in the weight room, we're sitting in the locker room before a game, we're just talking, chatting it up, and just becoming a brotherhood. Like you won't see that very often in any other part of life. When you're about to go out and fight for 60 minutes, maybe more, with some guys that have come from every part of the United States, and so it's beautiful.
So a couple years ago, I decided to be really intentional about how I dress my clients. And so we said, okay, these tunnel walks are becoming a thing. People are starting to pay attention to what athletes are wearing, which I think is something should have happened a long time ago. But we decided to champion historically black colleges and universities and small businesses and black-owned businesses. And so when my guys got dressed, they were wearing, whether it was a black-owned business, a woman-owned business, or something that had a historically black college or university on the apparel, whether I was making it or I was getting it from the school. Shout out to Hampton University. So to see that transpire to last year's All-Star game, the whole theme was HBCUs. I had no idea. That was crazy. And to see people walking around with Support Black College hoodies on, and to see people hitting me like, oh, thank you so much, Chris wore my pants or whatever, now they sold out, and I was just making them in my backyard. Like, that feels good to help other designers, to shed a light on schools that would have would have not gotten that same shine. I think that's rewarding for me. It's not about, of course, when you get somebody dressed and they look in the mirror and they're feeling themselves, like that moment feels good. And guys are real funny about that. So I feel like what's most important is to really to talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about, especially in fashion. And I feel like those moments are really rewarding for me. I saw somebody in here that had a Can't Give Up Now sweatshirt on, and I was like, wow, I designed that. Like, that feels good. So those moments are rewarding.
That's amazing. All right, for everybody again, what's one thing in the sneaker culture or fashion that you think has to go? Don't say mids, because I like mids. What's one thing in sneaker culture or fashion that you think has gotta go?
So the funny thing about it is I'm not a sneakerhead. Like, I only know what I like. So so I have no idea. Which is pitiful because this is StockX. I think it's like the trolling and like the shaming. Like, people have so much to say about what other people have on. Let people live. Like, if he wants to put on a skirt, let him live in the skirt. Like, if he wants to put on the hoodie, if the pants might be a little too tight, who cares? That's none of your business. I think that has to go, because I think fashion is about expression. It's about, you're a walking canvas when you put your clothes on. So I feel like let people do what they want to do and let them express themselves.
I agree with that, but I do want to point out the Kyle Kuzma sweater, the Raf. It is Raf, and the Kanye thing. It's not Raf. It is Raf, but sometimes you got to make choices. That's all. I'm gonna leave the Kyle Kuzma sweater. That's it. Leave that.
I mean, as far as me, if we're talking about everything, the Kanye ski mask got to go.
That does have to go, actually, and I love Kanye.
Yeah, because that looks like a spoof horror film.
How did he watch the Super Bowl?
He took
all the memes about that are giving me so much life.
Like, that's his style, though. That's his style.
It is, but he couldn't watch the. Anyway,
he couldn't watch nothing. He didn't watch, it was like he was Stevie Wonder there. He was listening to the crowd.
But how are you gonna sit with your child? And your child's looking like the full.
All right, Myles. What advice would you give to younger athletes as it relates to working with brands and expanding your brand beyond the field?
Just be yourself. Be yourself and align yourself with brands and people that are not only positive, with the kind of energy that you put out, but align with like who you are and the qualities that you feel that you should keep around you. Like the friends that you have, that friend group, those are people that match your energy. The people that you vibe with. If you don't like these guys, or if you don't like their brand, if you don't drink and you want to partner with like alcohol, or if you eat healthy or you don't eat healthy and you partner with like a Whole Foods or like a McDonald's, whichever way you go, to partner with brands that align with you. Don't do something just because it's clout or it's for money. You want to do something that you can be proud about when you go home. You can appreciate when you're talking to your family. Like, you're not just doing it for a paycheck. You do it because you love it.
Yes. Courtney? What did you anticipate for the future of what do you anticipate for the future of athlete fashion?
So my goal is to, so I guess first, my goal currently now is to make sure that a client's image is a reflection of who he or she wants to be off the court, off the field, off the ice, whatever. And so that if said client wants to have a Whole Foods endorsement, that their image reflects that. I'm hoping for more brands to recognize the power of the athlete and how they have such an impact on our culture, and that there's so much money for them to make outside of what they're doing off the field or off the court as influencers. I'm also excited about, again, using style as a platform to talk about other issues. So for Chris, we've talked about HBCUs. So for Kevin, you might start to see things about mental health. For DJ, you might start to see things about sustainability and using fashion in cool ways to talk about those issues. And I think other athletes, I'm hoping, will jump on that bandwagon.
For everybody, what do you think the future holds for the intersection of music, sports, and culture?
I hope more companies like Workshop. You know, I started this company to just influence other people to, you know, show you can do it. You know, I was a music producer. I never started a company. I never went out and raised money and you know, I figured out how to do it, and it's persevered. It took 3 years to do it. So I hope other people will see that and go do that and start their businesses and become entrepreneurs, such as yourself, such as what I know you're gonna do, you know, and build these organizations, because, you know, we need to own in this space. We need to be owners in this space and not just be, you know, employees in the space. And we have to, we're leaders in influence, so we also need to be leaders in business.
Is that the
Ditto.
answer for everybody?
Killed it right there.
Look, you definitely did. All right, we are down to the last question. Or actually, we got 2 questions already. What makes you hopeful for the future?
I'm hopeful because we're up here having these conversations. I feel like continuing to have these dialogues and educate people about what we do and talk about ways that we can build our businesses or talk about our progress and our journey, I think that makes me hopeful. I think having these conversations are super important. When I came up, I learned how to be a really great assistant. I didn't learn how to be a really great business person. And so to have conversations with other business people and learn how to do what I do, I think that's really important. And I think the fact that we're up here having these conversations, that makes me hopeful.
I think that you know, we've come far as a generation, as a culture. You know, we've gotten past like the exclusion phase, you know, of our culture. Now we're getting into the inclusion. And I think both can be dangerous. So I think that we're trying to find that middle ground of, you know, letting people express themselves and be themselves, and, you know, recognizing that and appreciating it, and not just trying to, you know, bully people into being one way, or target them out of it, or trying to make them, you know, join into this club just because, you know, you want to be into it. You know, people are finding themselves, you know, because they have an avenue or a venue in TikTok or Twitter or Instagram. They allow themselves to be whoever they want to be on those platforms. And I think brands are taking notice, and you're able to do as you want and be recognized for those things without having to fit into any certain mold that's been placed on you.
And, you know, what makes me hopeful is things like this, meaning there's people from all walks of life here. There's all ages, there's all diversities, men, women, children, you know, and coming together and talking about stuff like this and getting together, looking at, you know, cool installations and fashion, you know, and everything we're talking about. So this is what makes me hopeful for the future, because, you know, this has been my journey in my life, right? And so everything about it. And so, you know, I got kids, and I want them to have a future and be excited about it, and, you know, and not worried about, you know, what other people think, and everything that he was saying and everything that she was saying. Like, it's really important that we have hope, you know, and give hope, you know. So that's what I'm excited about.
Now we're down to the last question. What is one pair of sneakers you're coveting right now?
How much time do we have? I don't have just one.
We got like 4 minutes.
Just one.
I always want the Jordan 1 OG, like classic, but like 1985, like the original. I'm very classic. I would wear Forces every day if it was up to me. Like, yeah, I'll say that. Jordan 1 OG, black and red.
Just sneakers.
Hey, it's your style.
I'm really on this Rick Owen boot thing. So I have a Rick Owens boot addiction. Although today I'm wearing the, the original Air Force One. So I guess these today, but Rick Owen boots.
Okay.
I mean, I can't go wrong with the Jordan 1. I mean, she's spitting facts right there. But I mean, I got these 25th anniversary AIs, and they're up there. It was a gift, and man, I appreciate it.
Look, my slogan, you're the one when you wear ones. I love ones. It's my favorite. Well, let's get a big thank you for it together. Sorry, can't even read.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Myles Garrett. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Shortly after Kite's workshop, trading card chain, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And that's it, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clap it up, clap it up.